I think we're live right now.
Yeah, it says live.
Alrighty. All right. If I think I look too terrible, I'm going to turn the camera off. All right. I'm so close up to the screen.
Yeah, I just see like the top half of your head or so. Can you turn the camera down a little bit by chance?
Wait, down?
Go. Yeah.
Okay, better?
I got your whole face now.
I want to see my face. All right. Now, can you see comments? I don't know if people are commenting on the stream.
Josh is going to try and comment.
Okay.
Yeah, because right now I don't see. All right. Just comment.
The chat. Oh, okay. I think I can see it. Join. Wait.
Oh, okay. So left.
Google,
No,
it's nothing.
that's not it. Screen share, control room, recent apps.
Is he using a mobile device?
Yeah, he's using his phone.
Okay, well, I don't think he can chat on the mobile unless he has the app.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I see Rico.
Yeah.
Rico.
Aww.
Can you send me the link for that thing? I can see if I can find it. Because I saw someone else just commented on YouTube.
All right, but I can't see their comment.
Yeah.
Okay, I think they're probably just commenting on YouTube.
So I'd have to go to YouTube to see it. Oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
All right, let's go, and I'm gonna get onto YouTube here.
Yeah, I'm bringing up, chat with nerds and nutrition. What?
All right, let's turn off the volume.
Yeah, so it's
Someone, Darren commented, Tevin, you sexual beast of a man. All right, but I have to open up another window.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this in a different window though.
Are you able to bring up another window, Leslie?
Yeah. Oh shit. I'm gonna have to.
This is gonna be odd though, like going from window to window.
Oh, for sure. Oh man.
Yeah, we're new at this, guys, so just be patient.
Yeah. So great. Technical difficulties. Yes. You know. You sexual beast of a man.
I'm done with him.
It's so great.
Alrighty, guys.
Thank you. All right. Right on.
Right, so
the chat and your face.
also, it looks like it's laggy from what I see. All right, guys. Hello to my audience. I'm streaming with one of my good friends in real life. Her name is Leslie, and her channel is Nerds and Nutrition. And Leslie, if you want to maybe leave a link to your channel in the chat so that people can subscribe to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Do you want to talk about some of the videos that you make?
Woo, sure. So Nerds and Nutrition, I haven't really done a whole lot with nutrition yet, but I have done a whole lot of nerdy stuff. I've done everything from like a what I eat in a day video. I do like just random stuff, man. 70 videos and I can't remember anything I do, honestly, at all. Yeah. No, man, I just want to try and spread the word about plant-based nutrition. That's what I'm about. But let me get a link to my channel so you guys can actually see what videos I do put out. Yeah. But let's talk about you, Tevin, man. You reached 100 subs. Congrats.
Thank you.
Man,
Yeah, I'm still astounded that there are 100 people who follow me and follow the content that I make.
Well, you put out some really good content, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I try.
Right on. Okay. Getting my channel up.
So you can see the chat?
Yes. Yeah. Boom. Oh, I can't. I can't post a web address right now. That's really weird.
Here, I'll drop the link actually if I can find you.
No worries. All right. I do a lot of Weigh-In Wednesday videos, just documenting my weight loss journey. So far, I've lost 43 pounds. I've gotten off of 2 of my medications, and it's all thanks to plants. So if anyone is interested in how I've done that, I also found out recently that I have food allergies. And let me just take off Rico's collar because it is loud and obnoxious.
Oh, it's fine.
There we go. Right on.
Darren says, let's talk about some annoying ass shit like the metaphysics of semantics.
Right on. After you.
I assume this is in reference to yesterday's conversation. I had my actual first stream was yesterday, but it went terrible because I was using my iPad. So I couldn't invite other people in, and there were 2 people arguing with each other about they were just like arguing about something philosophy, some philosophical concepts. And it was just like one person was playing semantic word games with the other person. Like we wanted him to, he basically is a theist. So we were saying you need to prove that God exists. And he kept saying, well, God is this. And he kept defining what God is. But we weren't asking him to define God. We were asking him to prove that God exists.
Right.
And he couldn't. So he kept like defining what God was and saying that this was. Mm-hmm.
So isn't proof.
No proof. Yeah. Darren said excellent, so I think I explained it well. Alrighty, so yeah, what's new with you?
Wow. So I'm finishing up my wellness coach certification. So after that, I will be a nutrition consultant and a wellness coach. And I'm just going to be working on building up my business. I'm working with 2 clients right now. I hope to have a 3rd free client just to get practice in. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I'm working with a mentor to get my business up and running. And I cannot wait to leave corporate America.
So you're soon going to have your are you certified right now?
Yeah, I am a certified nutrition consultant. And by the end of the month, I will also be a wellness coach.
Right. That's great. I'm glad that you are certified. So you know a lot. You have a lot of information about nutrition.
I know a little about a lot. How about that? But no, I mean, nutrition is still such a new field of science, and we're constantly learning things. But I love following Dr. Greger of nutritionfacts.org. I mean, his information is just spot on, and you know that it's been peer reviewed, and he follows the money trails to see who funds what studies.
Yeah, I've seen a few of his lectures on YouTube.
Yeah, actually, how I got into Dr. Greger, as part of my nutrition consulting certification, I had to watch 2 DVDs at the very end of my course, and they happened to be Dr. Greger giving lectures at University of Pitt. And wow, like his lectures blew me away. And at that point, I wasn't vegan. And just, listening to his studies, his lectures made so much sense. The information was just spot on, and you can't doubt the science. It's there.
Right.
And it's really phenomenal. Once I started putting that into practice in my own life, I noticed huge changes in my body. So yeah, I mean, I just figured this was the, what I'm going to be telling my clients to follow. So I needed to follow it myself. And yeah, so I have Dr. Greger to really thank.
Wow. And so would you say the health aspect is what made you become vegan, like the nutrition part?
At first, but right on the heels of that, it was the ethics. So when I first decided that I wanted and needed to go vegan, I needed to start eating a plant-based diet. I went on YouTube. So I went to nutritionfacts.org, and I was watching a lot of Dr. Greger's YouTube videos. But he had also paired up with Emily from Bite Size Vegan. And so I went over to her channel, and she blasts you with the ethics of veganism. And I mean, I was done. I remember it was just a couple days after my birthday, about 1.5 years ago. And that morning I had a fruit and yogurt parfait for breakfast. And by noon that day, I was eating vegan, and I was like crying because I had yogurt that morning for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and haven't looked back since.
Wow.
Yeah. How about you?
I agree. I was initially compelled by the nutritional aspect of veganism. And I had already been vegetarian, and I became vegetarian because I had heard it was healthier and that meat was unhealthy and it rotted in your gut. And I was given a book by my aunt, who is a vegan, a longtime vegan. She gave me a book called The Higher Taste. So in The Higher Taste, there's a lot of information about comparing, I guess, carnivores to omnivores and how our digestive tracts are different and how eating meat negatively affects the body. And that, I guess, turned me vegetarian. So yeah, initially it was the health aspect, and it wasn't so much the ethical side of veganism. So it's funny because now I'm more compelled by the ethical side of veganism than I am the health aspect. But at first it was the other way around.
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
And like as soon as I got onto online and I started, I guess, getting involved with vegan Facebook groups, vegan YouTubers, that's when I was introduced to the ethical side of veganism.
Definitely.
And that's what kept me vegan.
Absolutely. It is definitely what keeps me vegan. Like after that, I wanted to get into animal rights activism because I felt like I can only do so much not eating animals. I needed to actively spread that word and help people wake up and realize the truth of what's going on and what they're doing to their bodies. And then, several months into my vegan journey, I started to learn about the environmental impacts of animal agriculture. And I'm telling you what, that shit is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. So,
Right.
I mean, like, there's just this trifecta when it comes to veganism, your health, the animals, and the environment. And the science is there. You can't dispute it.
Right. That vegan diets are healthy and suitable for all ages.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of pseudoscience out against veganism and vegan diets.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's also pseudoscience in favor of veganism. So a lot of people promote unhealthy diets or unhealthy ways of eating.
Sure. I mean, like we could all eat vegan pizza and Oreos all day and still be totally unhealthy.
Right.
But yeah, a whole foods plant-based diet is where it's at. I've actually lost even more weight in the last couple months just cleaning up my diet. I mean, I had been more of a junk food vegan for a while where I was eating a lot of processed stuff. And wow, it was weighing me down. But this is so weird. So in the top right corner, I can kind of see the stream from earlier, and all I see is just my hands doing this.
I know, it happens. That's okay.
Oh.
Yeah, it's veganism is like it's great.
Yeah, no, it totally is. So with this Earthlings experience that we're running in Pittsburgh, there's a man, Bill, that joins us every once in a while. And Bill has been vegan for 23 years. And he bikes everywhere. Like the dude is just a beast. And I cannot wait until I can claim being vegan for 23 years.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
What led him to become vegan?
I believe it was the ethics and health just kind of combined, and he hasn't looked back since. He actually gave me, it's right here, he gave me this little book called Why I Will Always Be Vegan. And it's just like a bunch of really short stories from people in different parts of the world talking about, why they're vegan and why they will always be vegan. And I really do want to just read through this, and he told me to just pass it on. So if you're interested in it, once I'm done, I can pass it on to you. Keep that vegan train rolling. Enrico just wants to be on camera.
He's cute.
Yeah, he's adorable.
I'm just seeing if there's any other people in the chat. There's 4 people watching. So if you're watching, comment, ask your questions. And I had a few questions about vitamins, what vitamins and minerals vegans should look out for. I didn't know how to answer the questions because I'm not a nutritionist.
Right. So what I would recommend is for anyone who, and this goes for vegans and non-vegans alike, we can all become deficient in vitamins and minerals without knowing it. I would hop onto chronometer.com, CRONOMETER. I mean, we can just throw a link to it in the chat, but chronometer.com, plug in 3 days worth of your food intake and it will plug out this nutritional analysis showing you know, where your potential deficiencies are. And that's when I learned that I needed to take a B12 supplement, which again, it's not just for vegans. Animals are often supplemented with B12 because our soil has become depleted. B12 just comes from bacteria. I also learned that because I hadn't been adding a lot of salt to my foods, iodized salt, I was low on iodine. So I have like a kelp supplement that I take for my iodine. But chronometer.com is an amazing tool for anyone to use. Just plug in your food and see what you need to supplement. Most people are deficient in vitamin D. I mean, if you live in Pittsburgh, the sun never shines. I mean, let's get real. But most people don't get enough vitamin D. Really, all we need is to stand outside between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. We need to have our face and our upper bodies exposed to like 15 to 20 minutes of sunshine during that time frame. And unfortunately, most of us are either in school or we're working during that time, so we just don't get enough vitamin D. I would highly suggest looking into a vitamin D supplement.
Right, or eating vitamin D fortified foods, particularly those with darker skin like myself.
Yes.
It's a lot harder for us to get vitamin D.
Yep. So someone, you know, like I'm a marshmallow, so I don't have to be in the sun as long as you would to get the necessary vitamin D through sunlight. But yeah, vitamin D fortified foods and drinks are also awesome. Yeah.
All righty. So do you want to talk about Earthlings?
Woo! Let's talk about Earthlings. Okay.
I haven't been as active in Earthlings, but I will be active again, possibly this weekend.
Right
how is it going?
It's going really well. Okay, where should I start? I love you, Maureen. Thank you.
Did she comment on the chat?
Yeah.
Hello, Maureen.
Yeah, she said that she could listen to us forever. Well, good, because we can stream for up to 8 hours, so strap in. Okay.
We'll be streaming for 8 hours.
8 hours. All right, Earthlings. So we started Earthlings last summer, and the very first Earthlings was just Marisa and me set up in Sewickley. We were standing on a street corner, and we were there for maybe an hour or so. Only a couple people walked up to us. It was a really slow day. Maureen's ready. Right on. Right on. So then we went to Ross Park Mall, and we stood outside the mall, and you know, of course, it's mall property, so we were kicked off. No worries. They sent like 4 security guards to take care of 2 girls. It was hilarious. What's up?
I said that is hilarious.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. It was ridiculous. So last year we set up in Market Square in downtown Pittsburgh, and man, we grew a really nice group, but it's difficult juggling everyone's schedules and getting people to show up. But this year was, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. So this year for Earthlings, we tried setting up a few times in Market Square. What's up, nerds? What's up, Thunder Bay? So this year we set up in Market Square, and there were 2 times where we were kicked out. It wasn't anything violent, it wasn't anything like crazy, but there were people in the square that already had a permit to set up for their events, and we didn't have a permit. Even though we don't necessarily need to have a permit. We're under 15 people, we're exercising our freedom of speech. But we just figured that it would be easier to get the permit through the special events committee, and it has made a huge difference. We have set up now, I think, 4 times under that permit with no issues whatsoever. There were a couple people, there was like one guy on the clean team of downtown Pittsburgh that tried telling us we couldn't set up. And I was like, hold up now, dude.
Right.
We got a permit, we're, you know, being peaceful and everything, but they were actually setting up for another event. He said, no, I'm cool with you being here. I support your message. We're just setting up for another, you know, event here. You're just going to have to stand on the cobblestone streets. And we did, and it's been great. Now, what has really helped us is Josh had built us this TV backpack, which is totally badass. The little flat screen TV that I got has a really nice picture outside. It works a lot better than our laptop. And he just put like I took the straps off of my guitar case and gave it to him, and he like bolted them into the TV so we can wear the TV on our chest, hands-free if we need to. And then we also have a little rolling suitcase that has a battery in it that we plug the TV into, so we don't even need to have access to an outlet now. Really, if we wanted to get crazy with it, which I might at one point, I could just walk around with the suitcase and the TV on my chest, just, yeah, watch it. So, yeah, man, the past 4 times have been incredible. We've had really great conversation with people. There was one time where I was the only person set up. I was the only Earthling at an Earthlings experience. And wow, I still had good conversation with people. There was a young guy that had his little earbuds in, just walking by, and I thought, this dude's just gonna pass me up. But as he was passing by, he bent down, grabbed a pamphlet, and kept walking. So, I mean, we're making a difference even when we think we're not.
Right.
Yeah.
It was definitely surprising to learn that people at Market Square were a lot more receptive and open to discussion than the people near the in Oakland were, because there are so many different, you know, university students, and you'd think, you know, young people would be interested in what we're doing. They would love to learn, and they weren't as open.
Right. Yeah, I was actually blown away by that, because there's been many times where I thought I would love to go to like Slippery Rock University, where I went, and just set up there, because I'm thinking, man, young people don't have all that brainwashing. We have been brainwashed, but not as long as our parents and our grandparents, right? So it should hopefully be easier for a lot of younger people to get this message. But I was totally blown away. Like, I don't know, but Market Square, I think because it is more enclosed, people kind of set up shop and they hang out there for a while. Whereas Shenley Plaza, people were just kind of like in and out on their way to something.
Right.
But yeah, Market Square has been really awesome.
I'm excited it's been so successful.
Man, I tell you what, we have so many ideas. Rebecca, a woman that showed up just this past Saturday, I believe, she was talking about making a vegan chili and passing out little sample cups to people. And I'm thinking, man, that would be perfect in like, November, when it starts to get cold, really draw people in. And, we had talked about doing like, get a free cupcake if you can watch 5 minutes of this footage. Handing out bananas to people. I mean, people love food, right?
Right.
But I think this could be a really great way to show people vegan food that they don't have to pay for, but we're also asking them to watch this footage. So it's educational on so many levels.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were brilliant ideas.
Yeah.
Especially.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, especially as it gets colder, you're right, that having some kind of food to draw people in.
Yeah, most definitely. Dude, I can't wait for you to come check it out, though. I mean, woo, there's been a lot of improvements since you last joined us. So I'm really pumped for you to see it.
Yeah, I will soon.
Right on.
And so for Cube, we're setting up for Cube Day, correct? But we're not. Earthlings isn't really doing anything in honor of Cube Day.
Yes, yes. So on November 5th, we will be setting up. We'll try and get 4 screens. You know, I have the TV, I have my laptop. I believe I can borrow Josh's laptop for the day. And if you come, we'll have all 4 screens that we need. We just technically won't be set up as, you know, a cube because we don't have an AFV chapter here yet.
Right.
And Maureen said that she wants to make some bracelets to help, you know, to sell, to help us buy more literature. So thank you so much, Maureen. I absolutely love that idea.
Yeah.
Another guy, Anthony, in the group was good enough to order us some literature. So he ordered us, I don't know, maybe 100 or 200 more pamphlets that we have, which came in the nick of time because we were getting really low. But yeah. It's been great.
And I will have my laptop by the time I rejoin Earthlings. Right now it's being repaired in the Apple Store. The internal hard drive had fried and the circuit board. So they have to take everything out and replace everything. So that's why I'm using my university, like a public computer and computer lab.
How did you luck out though with no one else in you know, the lab with you right now?
I was worried about that. Well, I lucked out because it's fall break right now.
Oh, okay, that makes total sense.
Well, for me, it's not fully fall break because I cross-register at another university. So I go to like 2 universities in a way. And the university that I'm at right now is on fall break. So everybody's gone and I'm here. Because I have class at my other university, so I couldn't go home.
So when are you officially done with class?
I didn't hear that?
When are you officially done with class?
When am I officially done with class?
Yeah.
Well, I believe in December something. December 17th, I believe.
Okay. Wow. Good luck.
I know.
Maureen says that she has a laptop too if we need a backup on Cube Day.
Thank you, Maureen. We will need it, so definitely bring it. Thank you.
Oh man, so exciting.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That was it. I'm excited for it as well.
Yeah, that's all.
Now, what do we think about possibly interviewing a few people, like doing a few street interviews?
I'm all for that. So I actually ordered a little voice recorder. It's like super portable, and Josh even said that he would be willing to like be my camera dude. And if you want to join me for street interviews, I say the more the merrier. Like, let's do it. I'm so ready. Maureen, Cube Day is November 5th. Is that a Sunday?
I believe it's a Sunday.
Yeah, so Sunday, November 5th. Hey, baby.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
I am super pumped. Super pumped. I was actually just going to say something and totally got sidetracked. Don't know.
About the interview, the street interviews?
Yes, street interviews. Okay. Idea. What I really want to do, and I need help with. I love you, Maureen. You're so awesome. So I want to print out really good photos and graphics, and don't mind us. Josh, really good enough. He's going to let Rico out because he needs to go to the bathroom. I want to print out graphics like a vegan bodybuilder and sources of vegan protein and calcium and iron. I also want to print out the photo that shows our different teeth and that proves that we're closer to a frugivore than anything else. And then I want to have these laminated pictures on like a little fob and just kind of like hole punch them. And so when we're talking to people and they say, well, what about canines? I'll be like, hold on now, and flip to the picture of the different teeth and okay, well, here's a true carnivore. You see those big ass canines? We're not carnivores, right? And so if a big dude comes up and he's like, well, I'm trying to get big, I'm into bodybuilding, I'll be like, hold up now. Vegan bodybuilder, boom. So if we could have visuals as well as, you know, talking to people, I think it would be a lot more effective. But that's the plan.
I'm excited in seeing how that goes.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really excited. Earthling Ed put out a really good video on how to talk to non-vegans, and I highly recommend everyone watch it because he had some really good points in there, just how to talk to people so they don't feel threatened. And you can take a defensive response and kind of back it down. And I think it's really helpful just in everyday talking to people because, you know, food is emotional for people, and emotions run high when you talk to people about not eating animals because inside they know, you know, the child inside them knows, but the adult has been brainwashed. So whenever we can talk to people, I think it's really important to not judge because we were there before, you know. I wasn't born vegan. So I felt that that video helped a lot, but I still sometimes get nervous when I talk to people because I know what it can turn into. Right? But yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I don't know how I feel about the thing is that I've always was under the impression that veganism should not have to be argued or encouraged. And I was very recently, I became an activist, and I wasn't an activist. I'd been vegetarian for years before, you know, getting into the activist community. And I was never somebody who would try to convince others to become vegan or to stop, you know, going to the circus or whatever. And so I'm still like learning how to do activism.
And I think we should always learn how to do activism. Even when you're an animal rights activist, there's always things that we can learn, and we can always improve upon ourselves. I think it's really awesome, though, that you took that step to become an activist. What made you make that switch?
Seeing other people, the activists on YouTube and on Facebook, and just online in general. That's what encouraged me. I thought to myself, why not start my own YouTube channel and spread the vegan message that way?
Awesome. Were there specific people on YouTube or online that really called to you?
Yes, actually. So there are a few people, the main ones, like Vegan Gains is a huge inspiration for me. His, I guess, unfiltered approach to activism and to just doing what he does. That certainly inspires me. I am also inspired by Isaac Brown, Ask Yourself, and Unnatural Vegan, who is obviously a contentious figure in the community. But Unnatural Vegan also inspires me a lot. I've always considered myself more of a sciencey kind of person, and I'm not really, I tend to favor empiricism. I tend to favor science over, you know, random claims that really aren't backed by science. And unfortunately, a lot of vegans do more damage, more harm than good when they promote unhealthy or fad diets that have no scientific basis whatsoever. So, you know, Unnatural Vegan often criticizes YouTubers who do this kind of thing. And so that she's a huge inspiration for me as well.
Yeah,
because I easily would have been influenced by a lot of their dogma.
Yeah, definitely. Unnatural Vegan definitely takes more of that logical approach, which I do think appeals to a lot of non-vegans. But funny you should mention Vegan Gains. One of the guys that showed up at an Earthlings experience, it was just a passerby, if you will. He stopped over and he saw what we were doing, and he said, "Oh, hey, I'm actually vegan." And I was like, "Right on, man. How long have you been vegan?" "A year now." And then I asked him, what made him decide to transition? And he said, Vegan Gains. Richard made him go vegan. And that was so cool to hear. Vegan Gains is one of my guilty pleasures. Whenever I just need some entertainment, Vegan Gains is where it's at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess he also has shown that it's okay to different folks, different strokes, right? So some vegans are a little bit more rational, like unnatural, or like ask yourself, a little bit more on the logical side of it. And then there are ones who are a little bit not as filtered, who just say what they want and are brash. So I appreciate that, at least about Richard.
For sure. You know, if you think about it, vegans are just like a subset of the entire population. So we're going to have vegans that are like Richard, and we're going to have vegans that are like unnatural vegan. I mean, we're just taken from the overall population. So we're going to be, you know, as diverse as the entire population, which is really cool to see.
I'm Darren's guilty pleasure. You shouldn't have to feel guilty about that, Darren.
Well, I mean, he did call you a sexy beast of whatever. Yeah.
I just have that effect on him.
Would you guys make a list of your favorites? Maureen, like favorite YouTuber?
Yes, I want to hear yours. Your favorite vegan YouTubers.
Oh man, all right. Let me think.
I think you follow smaller people who I don't know of.
Wow. You know, man, I would have to say, just because she was one of my very first vegan YouTubers that I got into, Bite Size Vegan.
Yes.
She put out so many videos, so educational. I mean, Emily is, she did release a video saying that she's autistic, which makes total sense.
I saw that video.
There's no way that any one person can put in the amount of time and research and everything into every single video. The woman was not sleeping. But Bite Size Vegan released a lot of great videos on vegan nutrition, how to talk to kids about veganism. She made videos specifically aimed at children. So yeah, Bite Size Vegan for sure. On the heels of that, nutritionfacts.org. Dr. Greger is the man. I really love to see the improvements that he and his team have been making to their channel. The little pop-up of his head while he's walking on the treadmill. It's great. What are your favorites then?
My favorites are, I'd have to remember all of them. I have to go to my YouTube.
Yeah, I had to do the same because I need to get some of the smaller ones.
Definitely Unnatural Vegan. She's probably my favorite YouTuber. Yeah. And I really feel sad saying that sometimes because I know so many vegans hate her. They really do not like her. A lot of people think she's a shill, and usually they're just character attacks. But yeah, I style a lot of my videos. They're very similar in style to her videos. And I would say I think she does a lot to help vegans and veganism. And yeah, I mean, I just think she's very rational, and a lot of people think that she's a little bit of a contrarian because she criticizes non-vegans, she criticizes vegans. I don't think she's a contrarian. I just think she's rational, and she's not biased in any way. Like a lot of vegans are biased toward vegan diets.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I know. I know.
So yeah, Unnatural Vegan is a real inspiration of mine and one of my favorite YouTubers. I also do like Bite Size Emily, and I actually learned I watched Bite Size Emily before I watched Unnatural Vegan, and I remember one of the first videos I'd watched by Bite Size Vegan was she made a video on whether or not dogs and cats can be vegan, and it was a very informative video. And I was of the belief that dogs and cats could not be. Of course, the science is a little unclear on cats because they are obligate carnivores, and it's not clear whether or not they can absorb synthetic taurine well in non-meat sources. So it's a little unclear with cats, but with dogs, consensus shows that dogs can live healthfully on a vegan diet. And I didn't know that until I'd watched the video and did a little bit of research on it. So yeah, I definitely love Bite Size Vegan. She's very nice and reasonable as well in her videos.
Yeah.
But she's not apologetic, and that's for sure.
No, absolutely not. No. I mean, it's all based in science and fact. Chef Vegan. All right, Chef Vegan is another one of my favorite vegan YouTubers. He is hilarious. He does a whole bunch of different characters, and he makes some amazing vegan dishes. And I think it's really great because the characters draw in people. It's just entertaining to watch him. But then he shares these really easy to make and delicious looking vegan recipes that everyone can try. So yeah, Chef Vegan is definitely one of my favorites.
And he has a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Great. Why not?
Yeah.
I'm going to look him up and sub.
For sure.
I don't follow enough vegan cooking channels, and I probably should, considering I'm a college student. I could really find a lot of them helpful.
Eat Veg. Eat Veg, Rachel from the UK. Actually, Ian from Chef Vegan visited Rachel from Eat Veg just recently. So it was really cool to get to see them together. So Eat Veg and Chef Vegan are probably two of my favorite vegan cooking channels. Because I get really great ideas, though I haven't tried any of them. I get ideas.
Right.
And then I do the ideas. Yeah.
It's a whole other thing.
Right. Like fly vegan recipes. All right. This woman is amazing. She puts out some great soul food, comfort food, vegan style. Fly vegan recipes is another one to check out.
Is she the one who made the toe fucking video?
Oh, Granny Potty Mouth.
I love her.
Yeah, she's great. I actually did a response video in response to the comments on that video. There were a lot of really angry vegans. Dude, I'm telling you what, it just pissed me off. Granny Potty Mouth is an actress, right? And she kind of partnered with PETA to get this cauliflower wing recipe, and it was right before Super Bowl. And there were so many angry vegans in the comments saying how they could no longer support Granny Potty Mouth because she supported PETA and they don't agree with how they run their organization. And be that as it may, we're all allowed to have our opinions about PETA and their organization, but here is a woman on YouTube with a very large YouTube following putting out a vegan recipe before Super Bowl Sunday. Shouldn't we be happy about this? It's more exposure.
Right.
So I did a response video to that, just telling angry vegans to stop being angry because you're pushing people away.
Right. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with criticism, but it's also important to be reasonable.
Definitely. I mean, we can all have our opinions about different organizations and we can voice it, but it's how we voice it that makes all the difference. Oh, Cheap Lazy Vegan. Yeah, Maureen, Cheap Lazy Vegan is great. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Someone commented, have you guys talked about Avantgarde Vegan? I don't know who that is.
I don't either. I'm going to have to look it up.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shane.
Shane Pierce. I've never seen you before.
Yeah, me either.
Thanks for joining.
Right on. Yeah. Cheap Lazy Vegan. She puts out really great videos, like mason jar lunches and dinners that you can put together that always looks so pretty, but I don't do that. I probably should. Yeah. What have you been eating lately, Tevin?
I talked about this on my stream yesterday. A lot of what I've been eating is unhealthy because I am looking for easy to make foods that are cheap. I don't have a kitchenette or a stove to cook my foods.
Right.
So a lot of what I'm eating is ramen. And I'll usually add, ramen is garbage. There's nothing of nutritional value in ramen. So I usually add in spinach leaves or kale or tofu for protein. And it's basically just to make me feel full while also getting some nutrients. And I'm eating a lot of salads because at the cafeteria at my university, there is no vegan station or vegan section. So oftentimes I don't really know what is vegan and what isn't. So I just end up eating salad and French fries. At least the French fries are not, they are not cross-contaminated with any of the meats, and they use vegetable oil on them. So I can eat the French fries, and I end up eating either French fries, salad, and ramen. That constitutes the majority of my diet. It's extremely unhealthy and high in sodium. So,
do you have access to a microwave by chance?
I do have access to a microwave.
Okay. Get yourself a bag of potatoes and cook them in the microwave And actually what I did for dinner tonight is I cooked 2 potatoes in the microwave, and then I diced them up. I chopped up a head of romaine, put that on there, and then just put some salsa on it. So it was just like super simple, really filling. But I mean, you can do so much with potatoes, and it makes it really easy cooking them in the microwave.
Thank you. That sounds tasty. I'm definitely gonna try that.
Right on, right on. So there's no vegan station at the your school. I mean, is there like a suggestion drop box?
So the thing is I am event coordinator of the animal rights group at my university. So right now we're actually trying to work with local organizations in our city to have the menu basically diversified. So we're working with Natalie, mainly. I'm working with her right now, and with Humane Action to basically they're going to basically give the director of dining services some resources, because I have met with the director of dining services. Seems like he's not very open to having vegan options on campus, mainly because he thinks that there is a lack of interest, and he thinks that also having vegan foods shipped to our school would be too expensive. Of course, most of these are not real valid criticisms, or they're not real concerns, because Natalie has provided him all of the information that he needs, and she's given him, for example, there was an issue with none of our pastries are vegan on campus. And this isn't just an issue for vegans, but also for people with dairy allergies who can't eat egg or gluten. And he has not gotten the vegan pastries put on at our cafe at our university. And Natalie gave him a list of companies that ship vegan cookies, vegan pastries to our school. And he hasn't made any moves to, have them deliver foods. So they're not real concerns, really. He's just being lazy. He doesn't want to have the menu diversified. He doesn't want to work with us. But we are trying to talk to him to have our menu diversified on campus, because we're just kind of, on the fringe of the dining services minds.
Dude, that is really disheartening. I mean, if anything, like naturally vegan foods, they're the cheapest things out there. Rice, beans, pasta, seasonal fruits and veggies. Like, they're practically giving these things away. Does he know how much money he could save?
Well, and that Natalie was telling him that a lot of foods are vegan by default. And what happens is they add butter into certain foods, or they add egg into certain foods. All they have to do is not add butter or eggs. So it's not really, we're not asking for a lot when we say that we want vegan foods on campus. So another suggestion she gave was to have more like bar options. So basically like a burrito bar, where you can select what kinds of things you'd want to add to your burrito. You can have cheese, vegan. What was that?
Oh, this tofu. Yeah, go on.
That was it. Yeah. So I was just saying that's what Natalie was suggesting, and we're going to be meeting up with him again this semester.
Good.
Because I want him to explain to her what he's done since our last meeting to diversify the menu.
Nothing. That's such a shame, but good luck with that. Keep up on it. Hopefully, I mean, it's a shame because for the vegans that are in school right now, they obviously are not benefiting from any kind of diversified options. But if nothing else, getting something in place now will help future students who are vegan. And it can also help students that are interested in trying it, because, it's great. They just need to try. Wow. Well,
and you can't assume that students would not be interested in trying vegetarian foods if they don't have the option.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a valid argument that they wouldn't be interested. So what's the point of trying? What's the point in trying?
But he's almost like making up their minds for them by not providing the option.
And there are some options on campus. There are some, maybe like tomorrow there might be a vegetarian alternative, food that happens to be vegetarian. But it's clear that there's no consistent section. There's no consistent meal for vegans and vegetarians, which is what I want on campus. A lot of universities near us and around us have vegan stations, or sections of the cafeteria dedicated towards serving its vegan and vegetarian students. That's what we want. We don't want our diets to be fringe. We want the cafeteria to cater to our specific lifestyle. That's all we're asking for.
definitely. And
I'm not trying to convert the entire cafeteria vegan.
oh, I would.
Right. But I just want it to be as reasonable as possible. And what I'm looking for is just vegan options.
Absolutely. And that's really not asking for much, man. Hopefully he comes around and he's willing to work with you guys on this, especially if Natalie has already given him all the information.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, it's in his court, and that's really frustrating because there's nothing, you guys can do about it. You've already done your part. Wow.
Yeah. So Carlos Students for Animal Rights will be doing more work with that.
Good.
We recently had the animal rights panel discussion as well at our university, which I moderated, and I was very, very nervous.
Actually, I really want to know how that went. Tell me.
It went super, super well. So we had Professor Faith Bajalavuk from Duquesne University. She's professor of animal ethics. So we had her come. We had Rebecca Gilbert she's the founder of Yummy Plants and a long-term vegan. She's been vegan since 1996, which is before I was born. And I know, she's been vegan longer than I've been alive. And, we had Natalie, and we had Brian Bonsteel from Humane Action Pittsburgh, and we had, I think that was it. That was all. And we had Jeff Cohen from Jewish Veg. I believe he's one of their executive directors of Jewish Veg. So yeah, we had a lot of people, and we brought them on campus, and I asked them pre-prepared questions that we had sampled from our Facebook page. So, and I asked them about 10 or 11 questions, and it took about an hour and a half for them to answer. And then we had a short Q&A afterward. It went really, really well. I tried my best to basically keep time in mind. I asked specific panelists specific questions. They were all, with the exception of one panelist, they were all pretty friendly. One of them was pretty confrontational and a little bit accusative as well. And she wouldn't calm down with the language. Like she kept saying multiple times, if you're not a vegan, you don't love animals, you're a hypocrite. And that may be true, but that's not really how to talk to somebody who doesn't agree with you. They're already on the defense, and you don't want to put them even more on defense. So she was, I don't know, but I don't think I'd invite her again for another panel. But all of the other panelists were very polite, and they answered questions. They listened attentively when people asked them questions.
Great. That's awesome. Now, will you be doing that again next year?
If I can have more leaders in our group, because this was planned by almost entirely by me, because our other leaders were really busy. They couldn't participate. So.
Right. Well, if you let me know if it does happen again next year, I would absolutely love to be there and to actually participate this time. Mm-hmm. As long as I know well enough in advance, I would absolutely love to do that. But I'm really proud of you for doing that, Tevin. That is so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, and I tried my best to have a diverse panel. I wanted, some of them were animal rights activists, others were lobbyists. We had, Rebecca Gilbert, who, like I said, is a long-term vegan, and she talks more about the health aspect of veganism. So I wanted different people to basically address different questions. Some people had health-based questions. Where do vegans get their protein from? What supplements should we take? What vitamins should we watch out for? Others had questions about animal ethics in regards to animal testing. So I wanted different people and some of them had questions on how to lobby as well, how to lobby for animal rights. So I tried my best to have a diverse panel, and I hope that we can have you on the next time we have a panel discussion to answer basic questions about vegan nutrition.
Yeah, absolutely. By that time, I'll have another year of working with clients and I'll be even more comfortable answering people's questions. So yeah, I will absolutely welcome it next year.
And are you allowed to have clients now, or do you have to wait?
So right now I can't have clients. Yes. I'm practicing right now. So, my first, consultation was a couple months ago with a couple of my friends, and, wow, it was amazing, Tevin. Keeping things confidential, I can still at least talk about, hello, Thaddeus.
Yeah, Thaddeus was going at it with Darren yesterday. Anyway, what were you saying?
No worries. So keeping things confidential. My first consultation was with two of my friends, and So the woman is in charge of grocery shopping and cooking. So whatever she makes, the entire family eats. And she has or had debilitating IBS. And the very next day, they all went vegan. She was ready. She was ready for a change. She was tired of feeling like shit. And within a month, she posted on Facebook that, you know, her man lost 14 pounds. She lost 12 pounds and had stopped all of her IBS medication thanks to diet.
Wow.
And it's amazing because we know the science behind eating a plant-based diet, but it's really phenomenal to see it in action in other people. My second consultation was with a gentleman that I had met only once, I don't know, over a year ago. And he had been seeing me post my weight loss updates on Facebook, and he reached out to me just saying, hey, wanted to let you know that I decided to try and cut out meat in my diet, so I might be hitting you up for some recipes. Mm-hmm. And I offered him a free consultation. He jumped on it. And I gave him my first grocery store tour. So we walked through a local grocery store for 2 hours through every single section. And you know, we went over how to pick out the best produce. We talked about recipe ideas with different produce. And then we learned how to read labels. And it was great. It was phenomenal. So right now, I'm just trying to practice the services that I'm going to be providing people, so I'm comfortable once I start taking paying clients.
And that's phenomenal that you're able to actually give guidance to people and help them transition into veganism, or how to do vegan, if they're already vegan, how to do veganism the right way.
Definitely. I mean, my main goal as a consultant, I have an agenda where I want the whole world to go vegan. But as a consultant, I have to work with people to achieve goals that they want to set. So they may not want to go vegan, but they want to improve their diets. And you bet your ass, I'm going to give them plant-based tips. But yeah, it's going to be really exciting. Man, I feel like the world needs a dietary revolution, and we're going to do that one person at a time.
And I wanted to ask you too, when I was discussing with, I'll say a woman, the woman who owns Sincerely Yogurt, I don't know if I can say her name, but I was talking to her about the animal rights panel discussion and how I invited you. And I said that you were a certified nutrition consultant, and she wanted to know the difference between a certified nutrition consultant and a nutritionist. What is the difference between the two?
Well, it depends really on like what state you're in, because different states have different regulations. Really, at that point, you're kind of splitting hairs because it might just be a difference in title. Where the real difference comes in is when you're talking to a registered dietitian. That is, you know, a true nutrition expert. But unfortunately, there are a lot of registered dietitians out there that are still telling people to eat meat and eggs and cheese. So at that point, you have to wonder how sound that advice really is. Mm-hmm. I had initially, once I decided that I wanted to go back to school for nutrition, I did go to the local community college here, and I started their dietetic technician program with the hopes of eventually transferring to a 4-year program where I could become a registered dietitian. Unfortunately, the program here was not geared towards someone with a full-time job, and my advisor just was no help whatsoever in how I could achieve that degree. So unfortunately, I had to withdraw from the program, and then I sought out an online program that I was able to complete to become a nutrition consultant. Yeah, but it worked out. It worked out so well.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
And so, as well, you were saying earlier that some registered dietitians, they are essentially quacks, where they promote like basically like lifestyles or decisions that most registered dietitians would disagree with. No, and it's funny that you said that, because the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is literally like the largest organization of nutrition experts, it's consensus amongst their organization that vegan diets are suitable and healthy for all people of all different ages.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even amongst experts, quote unquote, you still want to be careful because sometimes people could tracks and promote ideas and give you advice that isn't accepted by most experts.
And I think what's really scary is that a lot of these people think that they're giving sound advice to their clients. But the textbooks that I was reading while I was going for my dietetic technician program, those textbooks were talking about animal proteins and what they, can do for your body, the good things that they can do. It wasn't until I went through my online certification that I really started to learn about a plant-based diet. These textbooks did talk some about animal protein, but I was noticing that there was a very, very heavy lean toward a plant-based diet. And it's kind of scary because these institutions that are, training registered dietitians, they're still teaching these students outdated information and information that is hurting people. And it's scary because people will look to them as experts because they have that title.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask you, what about vegans who fight fake science or bad science with more bad science? So you have some vegans who will tell people, vulnerable young people, that eating only fruit, for example, is what's natural and is what's healthy, even though it's clear that one cannot receive adequate nutrition from an all fruit diet, or from an all entirely raw diet. Where do you stand with people who promote science like that? Or even people who might say things like, "Oh, well, you'll get fat and then you'll get skinny," or whatever. Usually it's that.
Science people. I say look up, Dr. Michael Greger and Dr. Joel Furman. I think these two men are probably the most educated when it comes to nutrition. And the science shows that we do need a varied diet to get all of the nutrients that our bodies need. Yes, we do very well with high carbs, and fruit is great. Fruit is wonderful. It has fiber and antioxidants and things that help control the spike in blood sugar. This is all wonderful, but we still need our dark leafy greens to get our calcium, and we still need everything else in combination with fruit. I say research, do your own research, and don't believe someone at face value. I mean, I think what's difficult is sometimes, a vegan can be very fit, they can look very healthy, but we still don't know what's going on the inside. So it can be tempting to listen to these people who say, "Oh, eat fruit all the time," but we have to do our own research.
Right. And I think a lot of it too is that many vegans would like veganism to be the natural diet or the natural holistic lifestyle. And it's funny because vegans often, when they are arguing for veganism, they accuse meat eaters or carnists of using appeal to nature. They say that, your form of reasoning is invalid because you're essentially appealing to what is natural. And, that's not true. What is natural isn't good. But a lot of vegans use this appeal to nature fallacy to argue in favor of veganism. So a lot of them use the same flawed reasoning in favor of veganism. And they want admitting that that a vegan diet, a whole foods plant-based vegan diet, will not necessarily provide all nutrition. Like, you still need to supplement for B12. Yes. Admitting that is basically admitting that the vegan diet is not necessarily natural. Humans have evolved to eat a wide variety of foods, including meat, but it doesn't mean that meat is healthy.
Right. So let's talk about that, just a little bit. If we were truly designed to eat meat, we would be able to bite into a cow's butt and just, down that shit raw. We have evolved to eat cooked meat. And this. And
even that isn't good. Cooked meat is
not. It's absolutely not. But yeah, even non-vegans they really should supplement B12. I mean, I think 95% of the population is deficient in B12, and vegans only make up what, like 2 or 3% of the population. So if you do the math, then the other 90-some% of people who are non-vegan are deficient in B12.
Right.
Yeah, we really can't appeal to nature with these things because,
Right.
I mean, every diet will come up short in something.
Right. Yeah. And I think that one should not become vegan because it is, quote unquote, the natural lifestyle. And even with fruits and vegetables, it's clear that the fruits and vegetables that we eat today are nothing like the fruits and vegetables that our ancestors ate. They have been modified and changed. I mean, look at the banana, for example, the yellow banana. It's not natural wild bananas are green and they're short and they have seeds in them. So humans have always selected and chose, and we've always modified what we eat, and that's what we do. So there's nothing at all natural about the fruits and vegetables that we eat. They're all unnatural.
Right, and just our soil becomes so depleted. Our soil doesn't have the nutrients that it used to have. Our food in general is nothing like what it used to be.
Right.
But we can still do our part. We can, if we have access to a little patch of land, then we can plant our own little garden and grow our own crops. I've even seen people that live in the city that don't have access to a little patch of land. Those little over-the-door hanging shoe bags, things that you can put your shoes in, the little compartments for your shoes. I've seen people put potting soil in each of those little pockets, and they will grow little tiny plants or herbs that they hang outside of their windows. I mean, there are ingenious ways for us to grow our own food, so we have better options available.
Mm-hmm. And on a similar note, where do you stand on GMOs or genetically modified food?
I still have to do more research on it, but I know that not all GMOs are bad for us. But there are things that we should still stay away from. Man, I really have to do a lot more research on it. Where do you stand on it?
I agree. I have to do a lot more research on genetically modified foods. But from what minimal research I've done is there's no evidence that genetically modified foods have any negative impact on human health.
Yeah.
In fact, we could use GMOs to potentially end world hunger and to try to fight malnutrition in certain poor countries. For example, I don't remember who it was, but there was a company interested in genetically modifying rice to have vitamin A, which it doesn't have. Rice is pretty much has no nutrition. So the fact that it's cheap and easy to grow and it's plentiful, it would be great if we could genetically modify rice to have nutrients that it wouldn't naturally have. And if we could feed this to poor children in poor countries, that could help fight, child hunger. So I think GMOs could give us a lot of potential in the future, but there certainly I need to do a lot more research.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I don't stand I don't have any specific opinion about GMOs, except that they could possibly have a lot of potential to help us fight hunger and malnutrition.
Yeah, definitely. You know what else would help fight world hunger?
What's that? Going vegan. Going vegan.
Yeah, man, the resources needed of animal agriculture are just scary, beyond scary. And it wasn't until I learned some things from Cowspiracy where I realized, we could feed the entire world almost twice over if we were to just redirect the resources for the animals back to the people, and we could end world hunger. I mean, this should be a no-brainer.
And I was going to say it's odd to think, because even with a lot of organizations like human rights organizations, they talk about world hunger. And it's so odd to learn that we have enough food. We already produce enough food to end world hunger. We have enough food to feed everybody on the planet. But to think about where that food is going and how much is wasted, it's just saddening. And I understand a lot of vegans, their anger and their frustration in the industry as a whole, and in people who support the industry. It's astonishing learning that when I first became vegan, learning how we produce enough food to end world hunger, but we feed a lot of that to cattle. It's astonishing.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that really helped me when I was getting into activism was just having a couple stats in my pocket ready to pull out whenever I was talking to people. So one thing that I memorized was, you know, every day a person eats a vegan diet, we're saving 1,100 gallons of water, 45 pounds of grain, 30 square feet of forested land, and 20 pounds of CO2 equivalent. And if you have nothing else in your pocket but those stats, I think that is so impressive. You know, whenever someone talks to you and they say, well, what difference can one person make? And you put that in their face, and then you say, oh, wait, that's every single day that I eat plant-based. Then you start to see wheels turning, but really just having facts to back you up, I think strengthens our argument even more. Because, I mean, we can talk about animals, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't care enough about animals to make that the reason they go vegan. I think a lot of people still very much care about themselves more than others, and that's fine. If that's what makes you go vegan, that's great. Have some facts about nutrition, how, you know, 14 of our 15 top killers are diet related, and a plant-based diet is the only diet to reverse heart disease. I mean, throw that in someone's face. Is there any other diet that can do that?
Right.
I don't even know how
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I got on that topic. Tangent.
Well, I mean, we're just stream of consciousness. We're just gonna jump topics. It's natural. I forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna add something. Oh, I don't remember. So we'll just. Anything else you want to talk about? Because I don't remember.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I'm probably gonna have to head off in like maybe 5 or 10 minutes if that's cool.
You'll have to get off within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, any last topic that you wanted to discuss?
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is your channel. You reached 100 subs. What do you want to talk about?
I want to expand my channel and talk a little bit more about philosophy and various philosophical concepts. So I'm planning a video soon on secular humanism. I am a secular humanist. I've been a humanist for a while now. And so I want to talk about talk about cats. Well, I could talk about cats, but I don't own a cat, so I don't know what exactly you want me to talk about. But yeah, so I want to talk about secular humanism and just the philosophy of that and other philosophical concepts that secular humanism borrows from, like philosophical naturalism. And I want to distinguish that from materialism. And also, I'm a moral consequentialist, so I want to talk about how that fits in, and deontology, deontological vegans, why I disagree with that approach. But yeah, so those are some of the things that I want to talk about besides just veganism, even though, from the very beginning, like my first video was why I became vegetarian. That's literally the first video that I had from 2 years ago. So just talk cats in general. Alrighty, will do. So yeah, in the future, my main goal right now for my channel is to get a camera, like an actual camera, because my footage is pretty crappy. So yeah, I want to get a new camera, and I want to expand the topics that I talk about, possibly do vlogs, and if we start doing our street interviews, then I'll upload those videos.
Definitely. Yeah, I say that we should probably collab on something else in the future, because this is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But so you had mentioned materialism. How do you feel about minimalism then?
Materialism?
Yeah.
Well, the kind of materialism that I was focusing on is more the philosophical concept. So it's the idea that it's an ontological view of the universe, and it asserts that everything in the universe is matter, and that therefore ghosts and God cannot exist because they are not of matter and are therefore not real. So that was more like, that's okay. A philosophy thing. But in terms of like minimalism, I don't know if you watched my video on minimalism, because I am a minimalist as well. Did you watch it?
No, I have to now.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, that's fine. But yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I recently made a video on that. So I love minimalism, and I don't have a lot of money, and getting my mindset into the minimalistic way of of living has really helped me save money, and it's made me question my, my quote unquote dependence on material objects and material things.
Right.
So it's really benefited me a lot.
Absolutely. That's really cool to hear. And I would definitely have to watch your video on that. I've been really busy lately and just haven't been watching videos in general. The only time I go on YouTube is to put on some like ambient music to just keep me calm at work. But yeah, no, I've been kind of like on my own minimalist journey for the last year and a half, 2 years. Within the last couple months, I've made maybe like 9 or 10 Goodwill trips to just drop stuff off, and it feels great. So I'm definitely going to check that out.
Great. And how many, do you have videos on minimalism?
I have one.
Okay.
One video whenever I was living at my mom's right after I sold my house. I had a storage unit, man, and that storage unit was bad. It was awful. So I did do one video on like cleaning some of that storage unit out, and I had all intentions of doing another video. But by the time we emptied the storage unit and I moved, it was just so last minute that I didn't have a chance to get to it. Sorry, the cats though.
I know, I'm reading it. Cats though. 100% is fire though. What's fire?
Cats. Cats are fire.
Cats are fire. Yeah, there needs to be a lot more research on vegan cats, because I might want to adopt a cat in the future, and I don't know if I can handle, just like mentally, if I can handle purchasing animals from a really disgusting industry while feeding my own animal. So it's definitely it's a gray area that I don't think I want to enter.
I know what you mean. I actually, I tried feeding Rico that vegan dog food, the V dog food, for a couple months, and he really didn't like the taste of it, and he really wasn't eating it. And I have to do what's best for him. So I went back to a conventional dog food for him so he can at least eat. But yeah, there have been like things where vegan dogs can live 20+ years.
Right.
Yeah, so it is totally possible for dogs, but cats, still not quite sure about.
Right. It's similar to humans. Humans can live healthy on vegan diets, and they can live relatively healthy on non-vegan diets.
Yep.
So it's the same with dogs.
Yep.
Whereas cats are they're a specific, they have evolved specifically to eat meat. So it's a little harder with them. Someone commented, you're anti-pet breeding. I don't know who he's asking, but I am absolutely anti-pet breeding. 100% against that. I think it's unethical and unnecessary.
Yeah. I mean,
it's entirely for vanity's sake. There's no reason to breed pets. I think what we should be doing is focusing on the animals that we have and giving them loving homes, animals who are in shelters or who are on the streets. And we should stop their subjugation. And I think we should stop breeding animals.
Yeah, because we're seeing the effects of that. I mean, how many strays are out there? Pets being put down all the time because they simply don't have homes. Shelters are full. We're seeing a lot of negative effects of this, and it's all for profit.
Right.
I think this really does call into play our mindset, where we see something that is cute and we feel like we have to have it. And that's a mindset that we may see change over the years as more people come to, think about that. So Maureen said that she gave her dogs V-Dog. She mixed it in with their old food and faded it out. Right on. So they love it now. That is so awesome to hear, Maureen. I tried doing the same thing with Rico, where I mixed it in with his old food and then faded it out. And after a time, he just would not eat it. And I was so bummed. I was so bummed.
Well, you tried.
Yeah, I totally tried, but he wasn't having it.
Which dog food was it?
V-Dog food.
V-Dog food. Yeah. Have you tried? I don't know if Amy makes vegan dog food, or is it just cat food that they make? I think it's called Amy's.
Amy's. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, they make the dry kibble.
Really?
He's
still not too happy with the food that I'm getting him now, and so I'm gonna try and cats plus fruit equals Fire.
I saw that. I don't know. He's an odd one. He usually posts odd comments.
I love it. I love it. Well, hey man, Rico is telling me that he's tired. Like he's just getting, guys. He has like his own set routine. He's very much OCD, like his mom.
I know. Well, before you leave, I'm gonna just paste. I'm gonna send put your link in the chat.
Nice.
Her channel is called Nerds and Nutrition, and she makes videos. How would you describe your videos again? I feel like you describe it better than I would.
I did not describe it well at all. Nerds and Nutrition, combining information on plant-based nutrition with this nerd. What more can I say?
That's right.
Yeah.
So definitely. Oh, Darren's back. Alrighty. Well, Leslie, thank you. Oh, what was that?
Nothing.
You didn't say anything?
Nope.
Okay. All right. I have your link here in the chat, so definitely subscribe to her. We are friends in real life, so we're not just internet pals.
Right.
Definitely subscribe. Thank you so much, Leslie.
Hey, Kevin, thank you so much for having me on, and seriously, congrats on 100 subs. I'm looking forward to the next 100.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I want you to, I can't wait until you start uploading again.
Oh man, me too. It's been a couple of weeks, but I have plans. I have a video right in queue, so it's just a matter of time. I even have a new like recording studio set up in my room, so all I have to do is just put a camera on and start talking, and I can talk.
Great.
Yeah, soon.
And I'm going to start uploading regularly once I have my laptop repaired. I'm going to film that humanism video.
Awesome. And I'll definitely be sure to check out your minimalism video. I definitely want to see that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Good night.
Hey, good night, Tevin.
And for those watching the chat, I'm going to remain on a little bit longer if you want to join. Maureen, do you want to join the chat?
Hi, Maureen.
If anybody wants to join, that'd be great.
Cat's on fire, strong desire.
Oh my God. This guy. Do any of you want to join the chat? Okay, Maureen, I'm going to give you the link. And if you're on, as long as you're on a desktop, it should work just fine. If you want to come on, and we can talk about anything you want. Let me just... All right, so the link's in the chat. See you, Leslie. If any of you want to join, that'd be great. I might be streaming for another 15 minutes, or I'm not going to stream if nobody's going to join. You could try clicking on the link and see, as long as you have the app downloaded on your phone, it should work. What do you mean by humanism? So humanism is a philosophy which places emphasis on, hold on. It's a philosophy which places value on human potential and human principles, and it focuses away from the supernatural and more on materialism. It focuses more on reality. And I will make a video, that probably sounds confusing to you, but I'm going to make a video going into detail about that. Most humanists like myself are moral consequentialists, so we don't believe that, for example, we don't believe that morality is like a set of rules, I guess, preordained by some divine power or by some strict adherence to the social contract. Most of us believe that morality is just the morality of certain actions are gauged by the consequences. So that's all humanism. Is humanism speciesist? No, it's not speciesist. Humanism is just about focusing on human issues and human solutions to human problems. It's not about humans being special or above animals, non-human animals. It's also not an SJW thing, so don't think that it's like some social justice warrior thing. You should do a series on what you're learning in university. Start the series after you finished your course. I'd watch the fuck out of that. I'm learning really, really boring stuff. So if you're interested in learning about, I study corporate communication. So if you want to learn about HR stuff, I'm probably going to get into HR and PR stuff. And I'm a Chinese minor. So if you want to learn some Chinese, then maybe I'll make some videos on that. Do any of you want to join? If you want to join, just click on the link. It's probably weird staring at my face this long. You don't encourage people to act with principles. No, I do encourage people to act with principles, but those principles are human inventions. And I encourage people to act in moral ways, obviously. I just don't believe that those principles are preordained by some God or by a strict adherence to the social contract. I think that the morality of actions should be gauged by the results that they yield, not by someone who said it is the way it is. I was about to ask you if you were learning a language. Seems common in that field. Yes, I took 4 years of French in high school. So I actually have a video in French entirely on my channel. So if you want to watch me sound stupid, then watch that video. I think it's called Pourquoi je fais YouTube. So yeah, if you want to hear me speak a foreign language, then watch that video. But yeah, what's up?
How you doing, Tevin?
What's so funny?
I'm just enjoying the fact that I'm on a stream with you, good sir. Oh shit! Why'd everything get dark?
I'm in my computer lab, so hold on real quick. I'm gonna turn the lights off.
Your thing.
All right, they're on. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get off soon because the lights turn on and off at night, and eventually the computers are gonna shut down. So.
Gotcha, man.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm about to get back into my essay on race realism. It's a very contentious topic because I'm supposed to be corroborating the idea that race is a social construct. And as you can probably tell, within the right wing, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be rejecting that notion. So what I've got to do is develop an argumentative essay, not necessarily a persuasive essay, but one that just basically puts forward all the reasons as posited by, I guess, sociologists and biologists why race is a social construct. I'm sure there'd be more reasons than just simply that there are semantics that categorize race as necessarily dependent on ethnicity, or that genetics in and of itself has no linear correlation to the categorization of race, this, that, and the other. But yeah, this is what fucking sucks about uni prep work, is the fact that they limit you. They limit you so poorly. But I think it's good because it allows you to specialize in one thing or another, which is cool.
Let's hear one of your. What's one of your counter arguments? So, I want to hear why. Can you hear me?
So, my main contention against race realism, is that what you're asking?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear myself. It's odd.
Oh, sorry. I'll put my earphones in. Just give me a second.
All right.
But yeah, were you asking me to put forward one of my arguments?
Yes.
You could hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Give me a second. Okay.
I'm not too familiar with race realism, to be honest.
Yeah.
It seems like
That's right.
There's a lot of people who are, I guess, they're basically starting countercultural channels and ideologies.
Yeah, like Tara McCarthy is a very good example of that.
Yes.
But yeah,
I'm familiar with her.
My main contention with race realism is the fact that race in and of itself is dependent on a categorization of genetic manifestations based on the lens of ethnicity. So ethnicity is like the ancestry and social grouping of people. Now that social bond, that social binding is in and of itself a social construct. So if you categorize people by their morphology based on that social construct, the idea in and of itself is a social construct, and that social construct is something we call race. So therefore, race is a social construct, quod erat demonstrandum. But there are more arguments to it, and I basically just listed out the most simple one, but there are genetic arguments, there are genomic arguments, there are also geographic and anthropological arguments, but of which will have more loose connections to the answer I gave you. They're more corroborative than they are decisively proving.
So what's the difference between race and ethnicity? Because ethnicity is essentially the same thing. It's the idea that a group shares some kind of national or cultural tradition.
Yeah, they're very, very similar.
So would you say that ethnicity is a fact? Ethnicity is real?
Ethnicity is 100% a social construct. It's, yeah. But it is just the social binding of a group, simply. So if a group of people, if a population have bound into either a society, you can call that an ethnicity, depending on how long they've been together. Like, that in and of itself, what qualifies an ethnicity is highly socially constructed in and of itself. So it takes a while for it to basically form and become solid, because it could change. But if it doesn't, then we could call that an ethnicity. We could. But yeah, I'm still not completely familiar with the criteria for ethnicity, but it is definitely one of social construct, because it requires the social agreement of, well, I want these people with me, these people like me, I want this, therefore we have this cohesion. And it typically is bound and typically defined by culture, rather than simply, oh, this is a group of people who work together. It's more so that they all share a common goal or a common aesthetic. Right. And that's not necessarily morphological. So that could be like their art is the same, their architecture is the same, their belief systems, their deities are the same. So that can be called an ethnicity. It's fucking all over the place, man. Well,
I think even if one were to say like ethnicity is clearly it's a biological thing, and certain ethnicities have biological differences or share lineages. But how far back should you go to declare one ethnicity different from the other? I mean, all humans share similar ancestors. So like, how far back do we go before we declare this is a separate ethnicity with a separate lineage? Because if you go far back enough, we're all intermingled.
Exactly. I know exactly. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Ethnicity only starts when we have deviation, particularly like social deviation, when two societies have formed independently, or perhaps dependent from the initial society. As long as there is cohesive differentiation, and the differentiation is interdependent, then that creates these two ethnicities. The way to distinguish them is by their culture, by their art, by what have you. And I would say the difference between ethnicity and race is that race goes a step further and takes ethnicity, but then starts to look at genetic manifestations like cosmetic differences in the facial features, in perhaps the typical kind of body morphology. Like, say, for instance, if you're an ectomorph versus a mesomorph or what have you, we'll take that into account under the under the lens of ethnicity. So we're categorizing these morphological differences based on ethnicity. So that's why we can find different races within an ethnicity, within a society.
That's right. And I wanted to ask you something. This is way off topic. I'm going to be making videos soon on distinguishing moral consequentialism versus deontology, and I wanted to know if you identify as a deontological vegan or a consequentialist vegan. I'm definitely a consequentialist vegan.
I'm 100% consequentialist.
Yeah,
100%. I completely reject the notion of deontology. Right. The idea that actions have in and of themselves a moral. The idea that actions in and of themselves are morally apt is completely null. Why? Because actions are only as effective as their consequences.
Right.
They mean nothing without their consequence. Right. So to say that an action is moral or immoral is, one, it's inconsequential, but it's also intangible. And it therefore leaves morality without a criteria.
Right. Yeah, I find it funny too when religious people are astounded or they say, "How can you possibly have morals?" And I say, "Well, I gauge the results of my actions."
Yeah, that's why deontology tends to not only, but it tends to opt more towards having the criteria as like this higher being, or as you said before, the social contract.
Right. Such as with Destiny, like he has a very odd,
Nihilistic.
very well. He seems so attached to the social contract. I don't understand. Like it's like he's not even concerned with the results of his actions. He's more concerned with his adherence to the social contract. I don't understand it.
I'm surprised he even believes in the social contract at all if he's a nihilist. I mean, if you're a nihilist, shouldn't you just completely reject morality at all? Why would you even be having a debate on morality if you don't even believe it exists?
Right.
And why would you appeal to social contract as an argument for morality?
Right.
Unless he's playing a devil's advocate and just being a fucking idiot.
Right.
You know?
Well, I mean,
So
one could use the social contract to justify the Holocaust.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, you could justify literally anything in an innumerable amount of things.
Right.
So that's the thing. If it is
well,
the equivalence of
it alludes to the fact that even social contracts are not like set in stone. Like they are often we create morals based on the actions that based on the results of certain actions, right? We decide it's bad to kill somebody without a cause. It's not like set in stone.
Yeah, of course. Exactly. That's the thing.
What were you going to say before I interrupted you?
Sorry?
What were you going to say? I interrupted you.
No, I was going to say that the social contracts are constructed by the very individual psychological agent's moral reasoning. So it's evident that social contracts are not foundational to morality. So if you use that as a foundational pivot point for your morality, you're a fucking idiot. Just plain and simple. If you use social contract as an argument, you are completely misinterpreting morality.
Right. I wonder why so many people they want to believe that morals are like. Why are so many people like of the belief that you can't have morals without God, for example? Like, I don't understand. I really don't understand.
I had fun with those. Man, I had fun with those evangelicals.
I have a good sense of what's right and wrong based on how what I do affects people, right? I know it's based on empathy. I know it's probably wrong to punch you in the face, right? Probably hurts.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't feel good. Why do I need a God to tell me that?
Yeah. When you personally have a very poor intuition of morality and you don't want to actually engage in any sort of cognitive discipline, then people resort to, okay, I'm shit at intuiting morality. Everyone else seems to disagree with me. I'm going to go for the biggest group that has the most accepted moral compass, and I'm going to abide by that. It's an easy way out. It's a cop-out, but it does work. It does work for these types of individuals who actually don't have a clue at all. But we should educate these people rather than teach them to opine by dogmatic belief. Because morality isn't dogmatic.
Right. I'm reading the chat here.
Yep.
No face cam today.
Nah. Not today.
That was me yesterday, so I understand.
Yeah. All good. All right, let's see. Eddie Murphy says the first fossilized. Oh my god.
I want to see you and Thaddeus go against each other.
Yes, please.
I didn't really understand what you were arguing about. It just seemed like he kept defining what God is, and he kept changing his saying, I'm using this modern definition.
Modern language. I think, I don't know. Well, I do know, but the conclusion of his argument would lead to basically saying that God is defined as true, and true is defined as God. Well, by virtue of true being defined as God. So, if true is God, then God is true.
Darren, I'm just going to interject.
Self-analytical.
I'm going to interject for a second. Thank you so much, Maureen, and have a good night. That's really nice of you to say that. All right, continue, Darren.
Excellent. So, yeah, all right. basically proper use of the God idea is empathy and direction from other people. Okay. That's that's in Kuwait, but you know, they
I think
like
we
this
asked him to
tend to,
demonstrate that God exists.
yeah, that's basically that's the bottom line, effectively. But people like this tend to appeal to these very vague terms, and there's nothing fundamentally wrong with that, except for the fact that it doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't present and it doesn't give you a
Well, it's not. An argument.
Sorry.
It's not an argument, for one.
It's not an argument. It's not an argument. It's good if you're trying to be artistic and if you're trying to be adherent to the scripture, but it's not actually presenting an argument. And that's the thing. If it is completely null, and that's what these terms are, like saying, for instance, that the spirit is just wind or breath, that's appealing to vagueness to say that you cannot disprove it. I mean, without providing a solid criteria, it is without solid criteria. So you cannot actually say the thing even is. So if it is something as so as wind or breath, you can literally just say that it's literally wind and literally breath. So what is breath and what is wind? If you say that the spirit is without causation, well, breath and wind are with causation. The lungs are physical objects causing these air particles to move around, and gravity and such.
Mm-hmm.
These things with causation. So if you were to say that spirit is separate from it, it is therefore not wind and breath. So therefore you have appealed to vagueness, and I've just elucidated that. So you need to find a new way to argue your point. So if God is so as a spirit, if God is just a wind or a breath, what is the physical holster of God? What is the causation of that wind or breath?
Mm-hmm. I'm not presenting an argument, I'm defining terms.
Yeah, I know. If you're defining terms, okay, you're saying that God is true by virtue of true being God. That is by very definition an argument. If you're positing a thing as being the case, you're making a semantic argument.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually making.
Can you demonstrate that God exists, or can you prove that God exists? I've appealed to nothing and argued no points.
You may not. You're not making an ontological argument, but you're making a veiled ontological argument through semantics. What you are implying through semantics is that God is true by virtue of true being God. It's self-analytical. As soon as you say that true equals God, that's literally the equivalence of God equals true. Because if true is God, then God is true.
I wanted to ask you, actually, because you know quite a bit about logic. There was a natural vegan. I don't know if you're following the drama with her and Ask Yourself.
And philosophical vegan?
What was that?
And philosophical vegan?
Well, yeah, the drama between unnatural vegan and Ask Yourself and philosophical vegan and Ask Yourself.
Yep.
Did you see her criticism of his argument? In that he basically stated that the trait was illogical or invalid. She used the term invalid because the premises
she did a fucking terrible job of that. She did an absolute terrible job. A reason being is her argument was completely non-contextual. We already established that it was the case that name the trait was an informal argument, that it was based on supposition, and the supposition was that other people believe that human rights are in fact the case, that they hold human rights, and that's basically all you need. The consequences follow. The premises are true if in fact you believe that human rights are the case. We're not making a formal from scratch syllogism. Otherwise, name the trait would be comprised of way more parts instead of just being comprised of two parts: the human moral rights and then the animal moral rights. Or actually, the animal moral rights is the first part, and from animal moral rights from the human rights is the first part. Second part is to not exploit animals as a result of regarding animal rights. It's an informal syllogism, and Unnatural Vegan is arguing from the position of formal syllogism. So she's making a major categorical error. It's frankly embarrassing because categorical errors are like the the what's it the biggest pet peeve in set theoretic logic, of which she would have to have studied if she's done philosophy as a major in uni. It's almost baffling how she's missed that, she's made that big categorical error. But yeah, that's my take on it.
Right. Yeah, because I don't understand propositional logic. I don't understand suppositional. I don't know philosophy like that. Or
yeah,
logic.
that's fine. I mean, I'm practically a dunce on the subject myself. I mean, I barely understand modal logic. I barely understand propositional logic. I'm yet to understand it all, man. Because I haven't actually got up to the stage where I'm studying the formalities, and the formulas, and the all the actual the beefy stuff. All I've done is read the lead up about like how does set theoretic logic work. Why is this the case? Unions versus intersects, all that shit. Or it's all basic mathematics that you would learn in like high school level shit. But all I've done is read up about that, and I've applied it to whatever I've learned in philosophy. So that's literally all the knowledge I have. I don't even have formal philosophical knowledge. I don't even have that much knowledge about propositional or tableau logic.
So what exactly are you studying again?
I'm studying a uni prep.
Wait, explain
uni preparation.
I don't understand what that is. Yeah.
Uni prep is what you have to do when you don't get sufficient marks in high school. You see, I was a dunce until I started to read into philosophy. I was probably the most argumentative but moronic person on the planet. Like Christopher Hitchens, except with Down syndrome. So what I decided to do was I decided to start reading up about these philosophies. But what I did was I thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to understand shit like critical theory and decision theory, shit that comes well after you understand propositional logics and modal logics, and I've also studied political philosophy. So I thought, okay, saying that I want to study philosophy as a whole and get myself well versed, I have to take a structured approach, so I actually go from one step to the next, instead of just going straight into the complex shit and just not know what the fuck I'm on. So I decided to start from metaphilosophy and work my way down to critical theory. So yeah, uni prep in and of itself is what you have to do if you want to get into a university course. A choice if you haven't attained sufficient marks in high school.
I'm trying to think. In our country, we have community college, which is community college is a little bit more helpful. I don't think we have any community colleges in Australia. But if I were to go into a community course, I'd be able to just study the preamble of psychology and then start to do my psychology course. So it's the equivalent of a, associate's degree, which is the pre-bachelor's degree. So if I did a community college, I'd be able to go straight into psychology, but it would take a little bit longer. However, uni prep can last a maximum of 1 year, and you can go into basically any subject you want that is within reason of what you have learned within the uni prep course. So you can't start a medical degree. You cannot do medicine after you've done a uni prep course. You cannot do physics and high caliber sciences if you've done a uni prep course, because uni prep only teaches you the basic essential mathematics, essential academic writing skills, and essential learning skills. And what's the other one? You get to choose between science or humanities, depending on whether you want to go into the arts or whether you want to go into the sciences. So yeah, and the type of sciences you'd be able to go into would be like a Bachelor of Science in psychology, or if you wanted to go into nursing, yeah, that's where uni prep will get you. It won't get you anywhere big, but it allows me to get a Bachelor of Arts in psychology if I can double major psychology with education. So I can do that. What do you want to teach psychology?
I want to, in essence, I want to be able to teach psychology and philosophy to the layman, but not to just simply teach the basics of psychology, but to teach the right ideologies within psychology, the right philosophies of psychology, the most logical and imperative fundamental ideas within philosophy and psychology, and be able to convey that. And the means of conveying that will be learned in the education aspect of my psychology degree.
Alrighty. Yeah, I want to get into HR, possibly. So that's why I'm doing corporate comm.
Would you ever think of becoming like a CEO?
That's something that I've never really thought about. I've always been a shy person, so being a leader is not really something I ever thought really about.
Didn't you set up that that animal rights thing at your university?
I did. Yeah, I'm an event coordinator, so I that's like my first leadership position, and I had to moderate. I had to moderate our panel.
That's absolutely excellent, though, man. I honestly, I do see you as the kind of person who can actually outshine others and be that leader type person. I can definitely see that in you. Definitely.
Thank you. I mean, I'm trying. I was always a quiet person. Even in high school, I was like a fucking wallflower.
Same, literally same. But before that, I used to be just absolutely like rambunctious, and then when I became quiet, I became more argumentative to compensate for me being an absolute idiot in my younger years. So yeah, my social life throughout the entirety of my scholastic years has been a complete dissonant mess. But yeah, man, I understand you because I've been through all the rigors. I've been through them all, man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, lots of fun.
What's this guy commenting? The reason God is defined as the one common truth is that we discover the divine nature exactly the same as we discover truth. I'm not claiming that any one thing is true without I don't understand what he's saying.
What?
I don't know.
Oh, so he's making one of these presuppositionalists. This argument's definitely for one of presuppositionalism. Now I know he's not actually going to say that he's taking that position, but it coincides with it. I'm just going to say that, and that the argument to be made against that would be an anti-presuppositionalist argument. It'd be purely epistemological. Now I know you're just basically you're giving out semantics. I know you're not actually presenting an argument. You're not trying to present an argument. But you got to understand that with what you're saying, it actually does present a claim. Mm-hmm. It presents a claim that God is defined as one common truth. You got to prove that the idea of something, a pronoun, something that is assigned to an entity, is now assigned to a principle, to a discipline. You have to explain why the word God is therefore qualifying of disciplinary
yesterday he made
status.
the claim that God is real because he has a definition, or because we assign it a concept of definition, so it must exist.
Yeah, no.
Which
things don't exist because of the definition.
Yeah,
and we can't just define something and expect it to exist. That's not how things work.
No.
Even if you, like, say, for instance, you cannot, all right, so this is the thing about ontology and semantics. You cannot define things into existence. You see, existence of something is proved empirically. The non-existence of something is proved empirically or rationally. Now, if you were to prove the, in an instance where you're trying to disprove the possible existence of something, you use pure rationalism. You use logics and epistemology. So that is to reverse engineer and deconstruct the necessary contingencies. Like, say, for instance, if God in of itself, the definition, is necessarily contingent of the predicate omnipotence, then you can say that God doesn't exist, because omnipotence is a self-contradicting term, because power in and of itself is a limitation. And if you were to say that you are unlimited, you have unlimited power, you are literally making a contradiction in predicate terms. So that in and of itself delves into predicate logic, but also delves into predicate on epistemology, that this thing cannot actually exist in reality because it is self-contradictory. If it were to exist, it would defeat itself, and it would no longer have the ability to hold of quote-unquote omnipotence. It would be less than, but at the same time omnipotence would be less than you as well. So as we can probably see from that very, I know, I'm giving an example. I know you never claimed omnipotence. But if God is necessarily contingent of that predicate, then yes, you can definitely say that God doesn't exist if he is necessarily contingent of that. But yeah, if you can defeat the predicates, you can defeat the identity.
Alrighty, I'm gonna have to get off within seven minutes because I think
Yeah,
at
man.
12 all the computers shut down in the whole lab. So if I had my laptop,
Holy shit! Why are you at school so late?
Well, so I explained earlier, I'm on fall break right now, technically. So I cross-register at another university because I'm a Chinese minor, and Chinese classes aren't offered at this university. So I cross-register at the other one, and I take like a lecture and I take a recitation class over at the other university. So this university is on break, and I'm here, but I'm still here, even though it's break, because I have to take those classes. And I'm using the computer lab because my laptop is broken, and it's being repaired right now. The internal hard drive had fried in the circuit board and everything, so I had to take it in, and they're repairing everything. So I couldn't stream. I couldn't have everybody on the stream unless I used a desktop, which I didn't have, so I had to use the computer lab. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Gotcha, man.
Yeah. Everything's happening all at once, but yeah.
Yeah. Goddamn. Good luck with your academic endeavors. Holy shit.
Thank you.
Sounds hard, very heavy packed.
Yeah.
My goodness.
I like being busy, I guess.
Yeah, I like that too because it really builds up discipline. It really
Right.
builds up personality. Honestly,
Yeah.
the more you understand how much you can hold on your shoulders. Really, it builds up a lot of character. To be honest.
Right. And I've learned that I like What?
Yeah, man. God who cannot lie. One thing he cannot do. Okay. What is he? You're not actually defining God.
Right.
And you're not even defining God as true by saying God who cannot lie.
Well, even if you define God, why is your definition right? Why is that the correct definition of God?
Oh, because he defines true as God. If you say that anything's true, you're presupposing God. No, the truth is not God, and God is not truth, or else that defeats the purpose of saying that something is God, or it defeats the purpose of saying something is true. Because both will be criterialess. They won't have any substance or meaning or predication. Because if you say that one label is self-analytical to another, I know it's a quote, but you aren't defining God, and you aren't actually proving God either. And I know you're not actually presenting an argument, but I want you to. I want you to. No, it's okay.
I don't think he has one.
Don't be sorry, dude. Yeah.
He's just going to keep defining God. He's not really going to, or at least attempting to define God. I'm not making.
I know he's not making. Yeah, and I know you're not making.
Make a point. That's what we're asking.
Yeah.
If you can make a point.
And Jesus Christ. Yeah. Well, this is really weird. I'm starting to become skeptical whether he ever did make a point.
I don't think he has. He just continues to play like word games and define. He keeps trying to define what God is. And then I ask him, are you in favor of God? Could you give me an argument? And
yeah, the main contention I had was when he said that God, true is God. That defeats the criteria of truth, and therefore truth can have no criteria. So therefore, there's no such thing as truth. And if there's no such thing as truth, then there's no such thing as God, by your definition. You see what I mean? If truth and God are self-analytical, so they are literally one and the same, then you cannot even argue the idea of God from your own criteria.
Numbers. I don't believe numbers exist, so I'm not.
Yeah, numbers don't exist.
Yeah. So I don't know what
numbers are a social construct of a social construct. So they are necessarily dependent on the.
How would one empirically try to find empirical evidence for concepts like love or hate? I don't understand what you'd be asking me to do.
Correspondence.
What do you mean by that?
Where do they form? So where do they form, and when do they form?
Mm-hmm.
And what are they? What is their existence contingent on? Happening physically? So like love is dependent on specific levels of serotonin and association through memory, being associated to another person or another thing. So if that's the case, then you can say that the specific pattern that's arising in this specific individual, so it's relative, these incredibly heavy emotions to occur. Are numbers useful? Yes, they are. Is God useful? No. Sorry?
I said, any last things that you wanted to talk about? We have got
I just want to respond to this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 5 minutes. All right, sorry, man. All right, I'll be really quick with this one. Are numbers useful? Yes, they are. Is God useful? No. Numbers are attached to something that's attached to something physical. Okay? God is attached to nothing. You say true is God. God is not attached to anything. There's no truth is attached to God, which is attached to something. No, God isn't even attached to something. So by your standard of truth being attached to God, you've just effectively said there's no such thing as truth, because God's not attached to anything. Because at least objects, right? So numbers are attached to objects, quantities, which are attached to their physical correspondence. So things that are actually existing, like a water bottle. If you count a number of water bottles, yeah, there's obviously this object. This object is a water bottle. Now, if you get 2 water bottles, you've now had a successor. That succession we call 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. If truth is correspondent to a state of affairs, that state of affairs you cannot just simply say is God, because you've effectively left that criteria, quote unquote, God, as completely null, because you haven't said that he corresponds to anything. If he doesn't correspond to anything, he is not a correspondence, and he does not exist. So you need to solve that issue before you actually move on and say that true is God, because this is more fundamental than saying true is God. Because how do you know that true is God without knowing that God is? So that's the biggest issue. But that's I think what I'm going to end this with, to be honest.
Already.
That's my final point.
Wow. He just said truth is attached to events and facts. Alrighty, so I guess he can't really, I don't know where to go any farther with that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, thanks Darren for joining, and thanks for watching.
No problem.
I think this is the first stream that we actually have together.
Yeah, man. We should have more like this. That's great.
Yeah, normally it's like I can't get on and you're on with Liam or someone else.
Yeah, man.
I'm just curious, how old are you? I'm just asking.
19.
19. Oh, you're my age. Okay, finally somebody my
Yeah.
age.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were way older, by the way.
No.
I thought
Definitely
you were
not.
like 26.
Yeah. Yeah, people say that a lot, but yeah, you know. It's just me.
Just you.
But yeah. Thanks for having me on, man. It's been hell interesting.
Yeah, no problem. And we'll have future live streams, but I have to get off. I would stay on.
Yeah, man. Alrighty.
Thanks, man.
Have a good one, man.
All right.
See you later.